Welcome this afternoon. This has been a wonderful day for the fiction stage here. I just do want to introduce Roswell Encina, who's a communications officer at the Library of Congress. Doesn't that sound like one of the best jobs in the district here? So, and welcome, and we'll go ahead and let you two proceed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Let's give Peter a round of applause. He's been the longest volunteer for all book festivals, so we're proud to have him. And I want to welcome everyone to the National Book Festival on behalf of the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden. She welcomes everyone. It's been an exciting day. I know many of you have been falling in line outside. We appreciate your patience. But this is one of our biggest events that we do here at the library, not only here in Washington, but for all the people who are watching online as well. If you're tweeting or Instagramming, please use our hashtag at hashtag NatBookFest, and we hope we'll follow you all around as well. So I'm not going to go on and on about this introduction. The first time I heard about Andrew was about maybe like 14 years ago when the Today Show picked the Confessions of Max Tivoli. I still have my copy here actually as their book selection for that month. I don't think they even do the book club anymore, but I remember reading this entire book in one weekend and going like, who is this Andrew Sean Greer? He's definitely going to make a mark. Fast forward to 2018, earlier this year, when he wins the Pulitzer for fiction for his book Less, that everybody's been raving about. Which clearly leads us to today. So please welcome to the National Book Festival Pulitzer Prize winner, Andrew Sean Greer. And I'm not sure if you guys can see it. I think we have like matching shoes on too, something. But.
And pants from the waist down.
We didn't plan it. So now, people don't know here that you're kind of like a Washingtonian. You used to work at Politics and Prose.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Back when they were on the other side of the street, if anyone remembers that. Someone must. Where they boxed up the books, all the customers helped them move to the other side. Yeah.
So make sure you go and buy a book from Politics and Prose and get it signed afterwards. So let's talk about the book. The reviews for it have been like ridiculously amazing. So because I work for the Library of Congress, I feel like I need to quote a librarian. During Nancy Pearl's interview with you, she says, it's funny, tender, meaningful, and it hits all the right notes. And in the interview, your jaw dropped. How are you taking all these excellent reviews?
Well, I've given instructions to my publisher and my husband only to show me the good reviews. So for me, it feels like a Miss America every day, and I'm not aware of any other ones.
Well, here's one. Just a couple weeks ago, I think you retweeted this, and it made me chuckle a little bit. I don't know who this woman is, but her tweet is at Marie K. Hardy. I just finished A. Greer's exquisite masterpiece, Less, and if I ever meet him, I fear I may just fall into his arms and weep.
Is she here?
This is your chance, Maurice. I mean, this is crazy. Most people, like when you win the Pulitzer, it's always some tragic or, a book that's this thick. But this is a comedy.
And I think somehow, and it made people giddy online, and also other writers who I talked to there was sort of like a wicked chuckle about it because, of course, we enjoy writing all kinds of work, and then somehow I think a lot of writers are afraid that they're going to get smashed if they do something funny or satirical about the same material, that they're not taking it seriously enough.
Wow.
But
now let's get to the book. I should say I'm a man hitting a certain age. I'm not proud of it, but it's happening.
Be proud of it.
But I can relate to a lot of the stuff that was happening in the book. There's this one line. I've got to read it, so I'm sorry. Yes, I don't over-prepare.
I told him not to over-prepare. But a rainbow flag of tags on there.
There is. There's this one line in the book. It says, quote, strange to be almost 50, no? I feel like I just understood how to be young. Yes, it's like the last day in a foreign country. You finally figure out where to get coffee and drinks and a good steak, and then you have to leave. And you won't ever be back. Is that how it is?
A little poignant too, right? Well, I'm only 47, so I have no idea. But most of my friends are older than me, up into their 60s and things, and so I've watched everyone, or 90s, cross over different thresholds of age, And they've consistently given me the advice of like, what the hell are you worrying about? Enjoy yourself right now. You've got 5 good years left. But then they say that, they've been saying that the whole time as they got 50 and then 60 and then older. And then I get the impression like you always have 5 good years left until you suddenly don't.
Wait.
But it's on my mind. And in fact, when I was writing the Confessions of Max Tivoli, which is about a man aging backwards, and while his mind goes forward, I was turning 30, and I was worried about it. It seems adorable now. It was about a body getting old, you know, that kind of thing. So this is me in preparation for the end.
Now, despite, oh, I'm hitting there too. So despite the book being very funny, I think it's still very sad. Was this meant to be a comedy, or was it ever, did you go through a journey for it to be a comedy?
Well, I bet you know the answer to this, which is that I actually worked on it for a year as a wistful, poignant novel about a man approaching 50, and it has the same characters in it, and it has about 4 pages left of the original draft, and I really struggled with it the whole time. I wasn't happy, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and because I couldn't feel sorry for him, you know, it just didn't, it was too much like me. And also in the present day and age, like maybe 15 years ago, I could have written a book about like a middle-aged white man, fairly well-to-do, and been like, oh, what a hard life. But right now, it just isn't feeling that way. So I couldn't feel like his problems were that solid. So it occurred to me one day that while swimming in the San Francisco Bay, that, yeah, it's old, I should just make it a comedy instead. And I threw everything away except 3 pages. And I made it the same problems, but made fun of them as being not really worth worrying about. And I had such a good time ridiculing someone like myself, but not entirely like myself, so that I could use a lot of things finally in my life. And you know, it also helped me every day, because I would try to think of like things, I would sit in my chair and I think, what is the most humiliating thing that has ever happened to you, Andy? And how could you make it funny? And it was a great way to get over it. And the minor humiliations of the day where you trip over something on the sidewalk and you try to pretend you were doing a wild dance on the sidewalk kind of thing, I would take notes on all of those, and it would make the day a lot easier. I wouldn't immediately think it was funny, but a few hours later when you meet your friends for drinks and they say, how's your day? Then I would tell them this funny story. And I realized I have friends who I think, why do funny things happen to them all the time? And I realized they don't. They've just figured out, through, I think, sadness, that they can't bear to tell it as a sad story, and they always make it into a funny story. And those people are usually the professional comedians I know, are pretty sensitive to sad things, and they just turn it around.
You mentioned a middle-aged white man. There's a part in the book that talks about the book within the book, Swift, that a middle-aged white man is not really sympathetic. And I feel the same way towards Arthur. I'm like, am I supposed to like him, or am I supposed to hate him? Because I'm a little jealous of him, that everything kind of came easy for him. He dated someone who was clearly very successful and was well known, and everything just kind of went very nicely from there. Is that how it's supposed to be? I mean, are we supposed to like him or hate him?
I think you're supposed to. In fact, when I come across reviews on Twitter that say something like, I didn't think I was going to like, Roxane Gay's review on Goodreads was great. She said, I didn't want to like this book at all, for all kinds of ridiculous reasons, but I just couldn't help myself. And I was like, that's exactly what I wanted. In a way, I wanted you to understand, to enjoy his minor suffering, and then eventually come around and be like, well, I hope it turns out okay.
I think I've got another passage that's connected to this, which I think is kind of describes my feelings about Arthur, and I guess everybody else's too, about if we should hate him or dislike him. Here it is. What if it isn't even sad from it? His entire novel reveals to himself like those shimmering castles that appear to men crawling through the desert. And that's when he realizes that Swift is not really the person that you want him to be.
Yeah, that you could. And because, I mean, you spend a lot of time in his head, and when you do that as a writer, it means the character's going to seem self-centered and neurotic, and you like spending time with a character who never thinks about anything but just takes action, right? And like Hamlet, you're like, oh my God, just kill him or move. Yeah, so that was my game.
Arthur was accused of being a bad gay, too. I mean, maybe some of us could relate to that, but was that from any personal experiences? Have you been accused of being a bad gay? Have you seen people that you think are bad gay men?
I would never, maybe some politicians. But it's not for me to say, because what the hell would that even mean? No one has said that to me. Except the person in my head who tells me that I'm a bad gay for not writing books that are about the gay experience completely. Like before this book, there was always been a gay character as a side character, and that I think I told myself I was a bad gay for not making like a big gay book. And maybe I am, but I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't figure it out without being the wistful, poignant, self-pitying book that I was almost going to write for this one until I turned it around. And, you know, I tell my students, I teach sometimes, and I think the first day I tell them, and it's usually a diverse crowd of people, which is wonderful, and I say, I know there's like a middle-aged white guy up here again teaching you about writing, and I know what you're thinking, and I say, I think all of us come from a community that we want to speak for, and that we're going to have a conflict in our writing, that we want to celebrate and tell the stories of that community, and then we also want to tell the truth about it, which will sometimes be at odds with that community and the myth it has for itself, and wanting to celebrate it, but also make it real and human. You're going to have to figure out some middle ground, and you're going to let somebody down somewhere. And you're going to each have to make your own choice about that, and I tell them the kind of choices that I've made. So I'm sure I let somebody down with this book, but I hope they're not in this audience.
You brought up a good point, though, because many books that have a central character who's gay, it's either, there's always something tragic that's going to happen. Like, I mean, from A Little Life to Brokeback Mountain to that new book, The Immortalists, always something awful happens to these people. But there's this, including less, but like Call Me By Your Name and the Love, Simon book, they're all just cheerful, happy books that I think no matter if you're gay or straight, you can relate to because the central theme is love. Is that how you look at it?
I have nothing else to say to that. No. That seems wonderful. But here's something else I have to say about it, which is that when after I won the Pulitzer Prize, I try to start every sentence like that. I think I have about one more month of getting to do that. And I had a job I was working at. I was the director of a writer's retreat in Tuscany. I have a very hard life. It was stranger than you think. And there was a great writer there, Terry Tempest Williams, who's a wonderful nonfiction writer and a naturalist and a wise person, and she teaches at Harvard Divinity School. And I asked her what I should wear to this ceremony. And I was looking online at things I was going to get on therealreal.com. And I was like, I think I should wear something very sober and serious because it's such a grand occasion. And she said, oh, no, no. When people in the world, I'm trying to say, when people tell you that you don't count as a human being and that your celebrations aren't real and aren't valid, sometimes the greatest protest you can do is a defiant expression of joy by the red suit. And I thought, well, I think she was talking, I think in the book, that was me being a good gay, was to have the book be a defiant expression of joy. And I wore a red suit, you can see on Instagram.
I remember the tweets.
It's really bright. Vulgar.
Now, after reading this book, I guess the central theme is, Arthur accepts all these invitations to go around the world. When was the last time you did something as absurd or last minute or spontaneous or as crazy as that?
A few months ago, or in March, Departures magazine asked me if I could go. Uh-oh. It's like dinosaur attack, yes. Right? Jurassic Park 7 book festival. Something. Oh my gosh, it's really dramatic. I'm going to try to talk over it or work it into my story. It was something else super glamorous. It was like we want someone to go to the Swiss Alps and write about spas there. And I said, I have a job. Like, I mean, I'm in Italy, but I can't leave. I mean, I can go away for 3 days. And they said, okay, 3 days. Can you do 4 spas in 3 days? And I'm like, well, who couldn't? Well, I couldn't, because it involved driving a 4-wheel drive car over the Alps, like over glaciers where people were skiing. And I would like leave a place at 8 in the morning, and I was like, I'm sorry, I have to get a massage on the mountain. By 2, I would go, I was like, I can't talk to you, I have to get the massage. I'd get the massage, I would sit in the sauna for long enough to be able to write about it, and I'd be like, I have to drive to the next massage, which is 4 hours away, and I did that for 3 days, and it was ridiculous, but also, of course, like, luxurious. So you can't complain, but you can make fun of yourself for thinking that was relaxing.
How fun was it doing research on this book? Did you have to go to each of those countries to experience everything so you could cram it all in there?
I mean, I did. It was half of the. I was trying to make money, and so I was pitching ideas to travel magazines and food magazines. And I was the guy who didn't have like children or a job, so I was available to go to Japan I was there for 4 days. I was a couple trips in before I realized that I wanted to put all of this into my book, because I'm an anxious person and I would take notes. If you're alone by yourself, you just sort of I just sit and take notes in a restaurant. You're there for 2 hours, so I'm not on my phone taking notes. And then I realized I was going to use all this stuff, and then I had to start pitching ideas where I wanted to go. Japan was one I had pitched because I thought I needed to go there, and I needed to go to India, which was hard to get to, and I forget where I was going with this. It was great. It's because I needed the dinosaur. I had 2 rules for myself in writing the book. One was that I could not put in any physical detail that I had not written down in my notes. So none of the characters are true in the book, and those things didn't happen, but every little rock and like tree and everything was real. I took down it's because I didn't want to write like a fantasy of a foreign country and get caught up in any cliches or stereotypes. I wanted to write down only what was actually there. And the second one was that the joke always had to be on Arthur. I couldn't make fun of the country he's visiting, because I discovered, of course, going to these places, that everyone there, everything was running perfectly fine. I was the thing that was wrong. If I couldn't catch the bus, it was because I hadn't figured out the system, not because the system was crazy. And that's easy to do.
You touch a good point here. How much of your personal life are in your books? Are you more like Arthur? Are you more like Carlos? I think everybody has a Carlos in their life, or more of a Freddie or a Robert. So.
Oh, my word. Well, I think most writers would say, they're all part of me. But this book, I am a lot like Arthur. I have to really admit, even, I have a bright blue suit myself.
And you wore it at your PBS interview.
Yeah, I wore it to my PBS interview. I would have brought it here, but it's really warm. It was supposed to be a summer weight suit, but it's really, really warm. So.
Any inspiration from the other people, the other characters in your books, from any other people?
Some are real and some are not at all, and I hope you can't tell the difference. My husband can't. He got very jealous of Javier, and I'm like, it's not a real person. It's not real. Like, it's a complete invention, and like he didn't notice the real people in the book at all. But like some people did, because I will borrow like a dress from a friend of mine and put it on a character, on Zora. She's dressed just like a friend of mine, but she's not like her in any other way. But my friend recognized the dress, and she said, thank me for putting her in the book. But it's not her, I know. My mom always thinks it's her if there's a mom in the book.
There is a conundrum here in the book that I guess faces a lot of Generation X gay men, that this is the first time we don't know what the future is, because I guess the generation before us, it's when the AIDS epidemic hit, so we don't know what to do when we get old. And you confronted this, and I never even thought about it until I read it in the book. Where did that come from? I mean, I feel like it is very true, and it's very relatable. But what do we do? How do we get old?
I don't know where it came. It was something I had been thinking about. In the serious version of the book, that's what I really thought about. I certainly have older male friends with HIV who survived that and are doing great, and young friends with HIV. But we lived through a time where we watched a generation die, tens of thousands of men, and those men were the first men who were out and proud in the world and making art, and of course that's all lost. So we never got to see tons of men get old, and I guess dignified is what we're supposed to get. I'm not sure, because it's. I guess we should get dignified. I've started to try to buy clothes that aren't as tight. These pants aren't a very good example.
Yeah, because there's a line here that says, Arthur Less is the first ever homosexual to grow old.
See, it's overstated, but humor, yeah.
He has never seen any gay man age past 50, none except Robert. He met them all at 40 or so, but never saw them make it much beyond. They died of AIDS, that generation. Less's generation often feels like the first to explore the land beyond 50. How are they meant to do it? I think we're all trying to answer that question.
Well, what do you think? What's your plan?
I don't know either. Actually, I may have to go on a trip around the world.
Trip around the world?
And discover myself.
Yeah. I mean, one good thing about being our generation is I think we came out at a time where we had to make real sacrifices to come out, and the sacrifice would be like, I guess I'm just going to be myself. And so that seems like a good pattern to go forward, is to, watch out. I'm going to be more and more myself as I get older. Not to become conservative in some way and fade in, because that was never what we were ever doing. But I don't know what that would look like. I think it was a political plan to be defiantly joyous, in the face of, I remember marching on Washington in the AIDS epidemic, and our signs were, everyone was like people were in drag, and you would have signs that would say, high heels, not tank wheels, stop the Gulf War kind of thing. Like, we were funnier than everyone else. And that's still my plan. I don't know if that's going to work, but it's all I got. That's what I learned in those battles, was to dress brightly and kiss openly and be funny and unapologetic, but be kind and empathetic. That's my plan.
I may have to
See, look at the shirt. Look, exactly. This is how it's going, right?
I can be more opposite in my white t-shirt. I heard somebody say this, in the past couple months, that this is like a man's eat, pray, love. Do you agree with that assessment?
Oh. Eat, gay,
I don't
love,
agree with it, but I wanted to see if you think about it.
I haven't read Eat, Pray, Love, so I don't know. But I specifically, he goes to India, but he does not have a spiritual experience of any kind. And in fact, I specifically, he gets himself. He thinks he's going to have this amazing, spiritual Indian experience, but he books himself into a Lutheran retreat center. So he doesn't, come across his sort of stereotype of what it's going to be. He has a different experience. I did that specifically so that he wouldn't have a spiritual moment. It's just him facing himself. So, but I guess there must be an emotional resolution at the end, and I guess love. There's no eating to speak of.
He ate in Japan a lot.
Yeah, but that's at the end. That's love.
Yeah.
Love, eat, love, eat, love, eat.
Time has a lot to do with a lot of your books. This one's aging. I guess Max Tivoli's aging-ish. Is that a conscious decision?
I remember sitting next to a woman on a plane 10 years ago or something, and she asked me what, you have that conversation of what do you do? I'm a writer. What kind of writer? I'm a novelist. What kind of novels? Fiction? You think, there's no other kind of novel. I see how this is going to go. And then she said, well, what do you write about? And I said, love and the passage of time. And damned if I wasn't right. The whole, it's been pretty consistent. But I don't know why. I don't know. I wish I didn't think about that. all the time.
Before we take questions from the audience, have you been approached to turn this book into a movie or like a HBO miniseries? It could be like Big Little Lies, like each country is an episode. And have you?
Do you want to produce it?
Well,
Roswell?
Yeah,
You've got a
produced by the
vision.
Library of Congress, yes.
Oh, produced by Library of Congress. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that right
boy,
now.
that's a little hint, right?
It's going to be exciting.
Yes.
If it happens. That's the thing about Hollywood. Like,
Who do you picture playing the roles? Like, who do you picture as Arthur?
I'm not very good at that. I was trying to like cast it in my head, but I just am not very good because you're like Neil Patrick Harris, right?
Yes.
Seems
A good friend of
obvious.
mine says maybe Jude Law, too. Do you agree?
Oh, Jude Law, sure. But also in my mind, it was like, why couldn't Daniel Craig give it a shot? You know, like cast against type.
I think Robert could also be like a Richard Chamberlain from the 80s, too.
Oh, that sounds great. I mean, I think Robert's the
Thornburg
exciting.
Richard Chamberlain. So
Thornburg, yeah. I haven't cast it in my head.
I think I've
Do you have more
than you
casting
do.
ideas for me?
Let me think about it.
And Freddie's like 35-year-old, dark curly hair.
Maybe the guy from Entourage. What's his name? Adrian, what's his name?
Great.
Yeah, so anyway. So.
Let's keep going on.
Exactly.
Okay, now we have to do questions.
Do you have
any
questions?
ideas?
We have 2 microphones right here to the side. Oh, then we'll keep on chatting while people are coming
But come up to
forward,
the
so.
microphones as slowly as you need to.
While we're waiting, there's been a lot of debate about the gay novel. Should we keep on calling them a gay novel? Considering I feel like literature, we've come more mainstream compared to movies and TV shows, that the main character in books have, like, for years, there's always been a gay character. Should we stop calling them gay novels?
Well,
Or gay books.
There was a reader who sent me an Instagram photo of her book from the library of Les, and on the side of it had a big sticker that said, gay. like it needs a sticker. And I found myself really upset because I was like, am I in some other part of the bookstore? Because in her take, she was like, look at my progressive bookstore that labeled the gay book the way it is. And I wrote back and I said, just ask them if I'm next to the other Pulitzer Prize winners in whatever section there is. I'm assuming they have multiple copies, you know. That's all. Because I think those labels are for librarians to decide. And that we're going to, because look, some of the greatest stories are, Andre Aciman is not a gay man, and he wrote an amazing, I guess, gay novel, you know, but like, what do you call it at that point? Or like Annie Proulx being celebrated here has one of the great gay love stories about, for
Becky
two men.
Albertalli's she's a young woman who wrote about a teenage gay
Yeah.
kid. So.
It's then you don't really know who gets to be in that category, and I think as long as during Pride Week they get brought out and have a nice display, I'm all for that, then anything can go in that display that celebrates. And I also, the gay novel feels old-fashioned to me because it focuses so much on men, and that's certainly, I don't need to see literally myself in a book to feel moved and like my experience is being celebrated. So you would want it to be a book that reaches out to people who feel hidden and not understood and like their story hasn't been told. And there's lots of those, so.
There's plenty. Well, speaking of plenty, we've got some questions here.
So, spoiler alert, I want to talk a little bit about the end of the book.
Oh dear, oh no. Well,
was trying to
everyone's
avoid
read it. We could do it vaguely? Can we be abstract?
I will do my best.
Okay. Be very,
I'm gone,
want-
I'm done.
wait, come and, oh, no. Do you want to whisper it in my ear and I'll be abstractly answer it?
Well, let me.
Do you want to know whether I planned it from the beginning? All right.
Well, without giving it away, the narrator here is the big mystery. Was that a conscious decision to keep that little mystery going throughout the book?
Yeah, it's actually, I have to give credit to Vladimir Nabokov for his book Penin, which has a similar device in it. And other books do that. And I also liked that there's an old-fashioned narrator who says I, like the first time that I met the character, which is something like in books 100 years ago used to do. So there's this play of, is there a first-person narrator or a third-person narrator throughout the book, which I think irritated some readers initially, but I think they got over it and they're fine now. And here's one here. Did that answer your question? Look, anyway, talk to me later.
We should have not booed her.
No, I'd celebrate her. That was excellent.
Oh, hi. Oh my God. So I finished Les about 2 weeks ago, and I loved it. And I know this question is probably kind of cliche, but if I was going to ask anyone, I want to ask you. What advice would you give to aspiring authors?
You're an aspiring author. Oh my gosh. I mean, enjoy the hell out of it, I think, and try new things. And I know this sounds like weird advice, but I don't think you should be afraid to mimic things or write fan fiction if that finds you like in the way that like art students go and they copy a Rembrandt or something. I don't think you should be nervous about that as long as you openly say what you're sort of learning from. You don't have to appear suddenly with your own brand new voice talking about things no one's ever talked about before. The way you get there is by reading a lot is the main thing, and a variety of things, and finding the ones that really you respond to, and not the ones that people tell you to respond to, but the ones that you really do. Like, I like to take my students, I give them each a $5 bill. It's only like 15 students, but still. And we go to a used bookstore and I tell them to buy a book based solely that they've never heard of before, based on the cover and what they see on the back, something that just calls to them in some way. And if you do that, you'll build some sort of special library all your own, and then you'll end up sounding like yourself because your influences will be the ones that you chose for yourself. But mostly just try new things all the time. Enjoy yourself. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Was that too like dreamy an answer? No, that's the answer.
Your friends at Green Acres want to say hi.
Sorry?
Your friends at Green Acres, do you remember?
Yeah, of course I remember Green Acres. Oh, well, hi. Oh, wait, is it Susan? You're backlit. Oh my God, Susan, hi. Wait, come up, let me give you a hug. Oh, uh-oh. This is my English teacher from middle school.
Wow.
And she's talking to my English teacher from high school, Allison, right in the front row. Oh my God. We'll get a picture all together afterwards. Oh, how amazing. I just saw Allison in New Hampshire. And it was delightful.
Tom Bolt says you can't go home.
Do I also know you? What's happening here?
I'm too old. I recently finished reading Les, and just before that I had read a book about the love life of Gore Vidal. And it was the latest of several books I've read about Gore Vidal and by Gore Vidal. And, and after listening to you, I'd have to say, thank goodness you are not going to wind up like Gore Vidal.
Because he was so bitter.
So bitter and sad. And Gore Vidal went through his life saying he was not gay and that he was infuriated if he was called a gay novelist. You know, it seems like you don't care if you're called a gay novelist. You're just going to write what you think is right for you to write. And all I got to say is that's the best approach. You won't wind up old and bitter and alone like Gore Vidal.
Thank you. Well, there's still time for me to do that, but for me, I feel like there was a generation of the great male writers that were all in competition with each other, and Norman Mailer, and like they didn't seem to have ended up very happy from it. No. And when I moved to San Francisco, there was a community there of writers who were open and generous and didn't care about rank, and it was Amy Tan, who's here right now, and Armistead Maupin, and Michael Chabon, and Dave Eggers, and Daniel Handler, and Khalid Husseini, who were all supporting each other. They were not in competition at all. And that taught me how how writers are supposed to be with one another. And it's how writers, I see them right now, like Min Jin Lee and I have never met, but we talk on Twitter, and we were so excited to meet each other right now because we're fans of each other. We're not in competition because she sells way more books anyway, but like, I would prefer to be in that world, and there must be another world where writers are bitter and angry, and I don't want to participate in it. It doesn't seem like it makes better books.
It doesn't. Thank you.
Or better old age. I sound like such a Pollyanna today. I don't know, but I just am in a very good mood ever since April. Yeah.
I'm thinking less about Les with this question, more I think about the story of a marriage and a few of your other books. But when you're writing from the perspective of a character who's not very much like yourself, how do you get into that mindset? And is that a challenge for you, or how do you go about doing that?
Well, to me, I feel like it's my job to write about people not like myself. It feels like that fiction is to try to have empathy for people, especially people you disagree with, but also to represent other people in the world that you see with diligence, and that means a lot of thought. And one thing you're touching on is something that's a touchy topic right now among novelists, which is about representation of people who were of different racial, ethnic groups. That, like, how do we dare represent them? And I think it's a conversation that is not over yet. But certainly it calls upon us to be basically decent people and good writers. Like, you're supposed to write real people who come alive on the page, and that the reader connects with and sees their flaws and their good points like a person. That's the job as a writer. And so anyone who just dashes off like, I'm going to put in a sassy drag queen waiter, like, you haven't thought about it long enough, but that's just your job anyway. Like, you should be thinking about the characters more than the metaphors. But I think it's sloppy. So I think really hard. Like, this book, I really lost a lot of sleep sending my character to other countries, like a lot of sleep. And so I just tried to be really diligent and not making any character like a throwaway, because I wouldn't want to have a throwaway human being. So anxiety and doubt helps you make better characters, maybe. Does that answer it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that.
Hi, my name's Alex, and I also went to college in Montana, and it's
Yeah,
not always
where'd
the
you
place-
go?
Montana State.
Awesome.
So, yeah, but I spent a lot of time in Missoula, and it's not always the place where we have like a lot of drag brunches or rainbow flags. So I'm
No.
wondering if any of your experiences going to school there made it into this book, and if not, how living in Montana kind of impacted you as a developing writer.
No one's ever asked me this before. I went to graduate school at the University of Montana in Missoula, Montana for a few years. And it was a great experience, but it was strange. I remember people would say to me, I've never met a gay person before. What's it like? And I had just moved from the West Village, which was at that point the gay part of New York, and I'd be like, what's it like? I don't know. It's great and terrible, and what's it like for you? I don't understand. Are you having a different experience? Or I mean, this will sound familiar, that, like, one morning I had the word fags keyed into the front of my car, the hood of my car, and more upset than me were my straight friends who had never seen this before and, like, sanded it off all day for me, and they were gonna get back, and I'm like, it's okay, it's not okay, but, like, it's a shitty car anyway, so thank you for sanding it down. But I had to learn in Montana, you're not going to believe it, how to butch it up a little bit in a bar, like Alan Vick's bar, which was a tough one, and which was funny to see that I could, if I bought the right clothes, I could totally pass and, like, play pool and things. And it was interesting to see that I didn't have to be in like a bubble of a ghetto like the West Village was to find people. Actually, I was with other writers, and I felt like I had more in common with them than I did the men I was meeting in the bars in the West Village. And in Montana, people who were willing to take me out camping and who were adventurous and open-minded and explorative, and I felt like I found my people there. Weirdly, even though it wasn't easy to be openly gay, it was easy to be yourself in a different way. So I loved it. Do you like DC better?
There's a lot more menses here, so that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the food was terrible, though, I will say that. Yeah.
We have one question on this side.
Yes, I'm a middle-aged woman if I plan to live to be over 120.
Yeah!
So I just want to say that as an older than middle-aged black woman, I absolutely loved that book. I loved every moment of it, and there's a certain universality to it that was wonderful. I read it and I spoke to my husband, who also would have to live to be 140 to be middle-aged now, and he was so happy for me. So when I was getting ready to come today, he was so excited for me. And I just wanted to kind of share that with you. So that's my little gift.
Thank you so much.
Andrew, do you think you could have written this book like maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or do you think the tone of the country helps?
Well, now, I finished the book before 2016. Let us
Not
say.
today's country, yes.
But that doesn't mean I didn't feel the tone of the country. And I think what I didn't know then that people have told me was that they needed to read a book that was, I guess, uplifting without lying to them about the way things are. And I just wrote that for myself. And I can't tell you what it means to have written something like that and to have people write me and say, people tell me how humane it is. And that's the best compliment to me, when they say that they've sort of felt good about other people. And I don't really know how that happens from that book. But I feel like I can't take credit for it. I think people are in such a bad way right now, and you pick up the news every day and you say, God damn it. That you could go to something that feels like maybe reminds you of what you would really like to be. I don't know how to talk about that.
You've got a Little Life shirt on.
I sure do.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Is that okay?
Oh, yes.
They don't make less shirts yet.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway,
they
we'll
don't.
take your question.
I should do that.
So I really love the way the book ended, especially the last word of the book. It's so smart.
Don't give it away,
I'm not
though.
giving it. I didn't say the word. But I wanted to know when in the writing process you knew how you wanted to end it and how you wanted the specific word choices you used for the ending to be used.
Now, this is the kind of question writers really like, and readers
good.
are very bored by, which is a technical question about language, because we spend a lot of time on it, and then we spend a lot of time trying for you not to notice we spent all that time on it. But I will say that I wanted it to, now it's going to give it away, I wanted, it won't give it away to the audience, but to you, I wanted a joke on the ending of Joyce's Ulysses, and the way Molly Bloom's speech ends there. And that's kind of, I based the rhythm of it all on that. And I thought, is this just too much? Can I really do this? But my editor didn't stop me, and I'm like, I'm just gonna publish it that way. Because I just thought it would feel over the top, but like knowing that it's a little absurd, and why not? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll take this side.
Hi, I'm a public librarian locally, and I've always wanted to oh, my mother will be so pleased with this applause right now. I've always wanted to share with an author. You see how your book sales and everything, but I was lucky enough to pick up your book right when it came in, because I can secretly just kind of take it home before it gets processed.
You can't do that.
But you see your book sales, but I have not seen your book on our shelf, and it has over 200 holds on it countywide. We own about 100 copies, and we keep having to buy more and more and more. We just got our large type print in of your book, and I don't know that you see those
I
circulations.
haven't seen the large type. Oh my God.
It looks the same, but bigger.
Okay.
So I don't know that authors ever learn that, but to people who are not purchasing your book, that is how there's still over 200 people on hold for it. So thank you.
Thank you
I
for
felt, after reading your book, it was lovely, but I felt lovely after finishing your book. So thank you.
Thank you. Wow, it's a librarian, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll take one last question.
Hi, just another word nerd question. Why did you choose the name Les? And were there any other names or adjectives that you had considered for naming your character?
I never considered another name for it. It was mostly, now it seems like it's maybe a little too on the nose, but at the time it was to remind myself that I was trying to torture the character and reduce his ego and his stature so I could get him. Because I thought it's very hard to write a funny book about someone, except if you you have to take everything away to give it back to them. Because the other thing about a funny book is you have to kind of know from the beginning that it's going to turn out all right, because otherwise it's sort of a cruel book. So, and then the name stuck with me and no one stopped me, so. Again, yeah.
We'll squeeze in one quick question.
Hi.
Hi. So Les was really enjoyable to read, and like many people in the audience, we want to read more. So are there titles that you can recommend in the same vein as Les that are near and dear to you?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. The same vein gives you the same kind of feeling, like, because there's other comic novels recently, like Paul Beatty's The Sellout. I think Laurie Moore, who is here somewhere, is the funniest writer I know. Also, they're sad, funny stories, but she's the master of them. And I was reading, I think Panin is funny, but it's cruel. John Updike has his Beck books are very funny. Weirdly, I've been reading Graham Greene books recently, because on my next book I'm hoping to make also a comic novel. Travels with My Aunt, I find to be a book that makes me feel really wonderful about life. And we don't think of Graham Greene doing that, but I think he did it in that book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll ask the last question.
Yay.
So you said you're 47. Any big plans when you turn 50?
Ah!
A friend of mine gave me an idea to have a party in a different country or a different city for each decade of my life. So.
Oh, I thought your friend had an idea for my party.
Oh, yeah, well, there's that.
Well, when do you turn 50?
I don't want to share it with like 500 people.
Not concordant
like in 2
with mine.
years. So
Okay.
I turned 50.
So close.
Yes.
It's very close. Yeah. God, I don't know. I've been to a lot of 50th birthday parties, and the first friend who turns 50, you like fly to Tulum, and you're on an island, and you get drunk, and there's costumes, and then eventually people are like, meet me at the bar at 6. So I think I'm like the last one, so it'll be more like that, maybe. No, it won't.
No, it's going to be fun. Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you go see Andrew downstairs.
And thank you to Roswell for doing this.